Hi, my name is Emily Warren, and Emily Trout, and I will be reporting on my internship experience with Stanford Sierra Youth and Families. So I found Stanford Sierra Youth and Families through a Google search. I looked up different volunteer or internship organizations experience near me, and Stanford Sierra Youth and Families was the first one that popped up. And so I sent them a couple of emails and I tried to call them and they didn't get any answer. And so I actually got a phone call a week later from the HR director, Kimberly Woods, and she sent me a couple of emails that showed me different internship opportunities that they have. And she sent me also applications as well. And so from there, I applied and I went through multiple interviews. Kimberly called me back and she said, okay, I'm going to interview you, and then we're going to interview you on a panel if you make it through this interview. And so I interviewed with Kimberly and we talked more about the internship. And then I interviewed on a panel, and the panel just wanted to make sure that I was the right pick, that my values aligned with the values of the organization, which some of them involve being honest, true, humble, and those are some values that I love those values. So anyways, so then I started the internship, and so I went to orientation, and some of the responsibilities that I had were going to trainings, doing trainings, learning more about the company, and shadowing a behavioral analyst. And during this shadowing, I learned about clients. I learned how to create intervention activities and plans. I participated in sessions with the behavioral analyst, and I reported my mileage at the end of the day. So some trainings I did were through a software called Relias. And these are I cannot tell you, these are just a few of the trainings that I did. So I had to do trainings before I could start shadowing Ariel, my mentor. And some of them were through Zoom calls, through videos, through pre-recorded videos, and some of them were in person, like the CPR and first aid. And they continuously have you do trainings to make sure that you are up to date with different things that they have implemented after doing evaluations with families and employees. And so next, during the orientation, I learned more about Stanford Sierra Youth and Families and how they started. They actually weren't always called Stanford Sierra Youth and Families. They were two separate companies that combined together right before the pandemic. So the first one was Sierra Forever Families, which was a foster care foster care and foster adopting organization. And then Stanford Youth and Families, which is more of what we do, which they're just a couple of different programs to help youth and families in the Northern California community. And the picture in the middle is the Stanford Mansion, which is where it all began. It was started by a group of nuns that started different foster programs and different programs for youth and children in the communities. So it's just a little background. And so the clients that we work with, we can research them and find more about them on Tier, which is another software that we use to take notes about different clients. And so you can go through and read their histories, because some clients have come back and they're reoccurring clients. But the information obviously is confidential, so only specific people that are working with these clients can see this. Obviously, since I was working with these clients, I had access to the information. And a lot of the youth that we work with are from ages like 6 to 23, around there, just because some of them are autistic or have different disabilities that they need help and assistance with. And most of the youth that we work with are either foster youth or youth that have been institutionalized have been in juvenile detention, have been hospitalized. We are the last resort. So we come in after a big event. And also, along with that, our clients are referred to us through Medi-Cal. So they have medical insurance, and they're referred to us through a different program from Stanford Senior Youth and Families, either from the RAP program or the FIT program, which is they're both different skill training programs. And so during sessions, we do intervention activities. So depending on the target behavior, like say the kid has depression, you want to work with them to come up with different skills and do different activities to teach them about how to cope with their depression, how to overcome their sadness, how to build happiness. And so one of the ways we would do that is to play Uno or different card games. And these are just one of the many examples of different intervention activities and plans. So Uno teaches children how to connect with people. It's a game that you can play with multiple people. It gets them to socialize and to get out of their bubble. And so with one kid, we wanted to target him, helping him build connections with his family through playing games. And so we would practice playing games, we'd teach him new games, and he would play them with his family. And so it helped him build connections and help him turn to his family more. Another activity is taking a moment to come up with different values. And so this helped motivate kids to be better. So say their target behavior was acting out in school or damaging property. They come up with their values and they work towards those values. And there's also different rewards that we could offer them too, like there was budget for taking them to the store, like Five and Below once, or going out to eat once. Those were different rewards as well if they made progress, such as, oh, instead of damaging, so say this person has anger issues, instead of damaging the wall when you're frustrated, you took a walk. That's just one of the examples of giving them a reward. And so interventions, there are so many different resources. We would go to the library, like you see, this is a book that there are just so many resources, free resources that you can use to come up with different intervention activities and plans for the clients that you work with. And so during the sessions, like I said, they were, you come up with different coping skills. So you work on the interventions that we talked about, and this is working in the field. So you go to the youth's home, and a lot of times you'll just work one-on-one with the youth, but every once in a while you will have a session with their parent. And so you work in their homes, or sometimes you'll take the kid to McDonald's if it's a hot day. You'll take them to the park. You'll take them to the library, just to help them get out and to learn more about, and sometimes they just need a break from the house. And you just, again, teach them different coping skills through the intervention activities. And along with this, Stanford Senior Youth and Families advocates for collaborative documentation, which is talking to the youth after or during the session and saying, hey, is it okay if I write this in my notes? Like, hey, is it okay if I write that we worked on a different coping skill today? Or, hey, what do you think I should write in my note today? Those are just a couple of examples. And this is just to get the kids to understand that what you're doing is important and that they are making progress. And at the end of the day, I would report my mileage. So I just take pictures of each place that I go at, and I report it into Tier, which is, again, the software that you use to take notes after each session. So my contribution, I contributed to the sessions. I made sure that I helped with the different intervention activities. I would come up with my own. As you could tell from the book, I checked out a book from the library, and I took out a couple of different activities that the book had for some of the youth. And I would say that my contribution is that I am now an advocate for youth. I know how to advocate for them. And so that is my contribution to not just this organization, but to myself and to my future family and to future organizations. I want to continue with this work. Now, what I got from this working with this organization, this experience is, again, I'm reusing this, but becoming a youth advocate. I learned how to advocate for youth and what they need. I learned about balance, how to balance life, home life, and work life, and the balance between rewarding a kid and not giving them too many rewards. There's a balance in everything and the importance of that. And I also benefited learning about what it would be like to work here and the importance of a good work environment and having good coworkers with you to support you and help you. That is extremely important, especially in this line of work. Some connections I made were to so many classes. There's so many connections, but some big connections I made was to my social innovation class, which talked about different nonprofit organizations and how they work and how they can be successful. And I feel like Stanford Sierra Youth and Family is an amazing example of an organization that has continued to improve and just an example of a successful nonprofit that is socially innovative. They continue to take advice from their clients. They have different surveys and different, like every quarterly, they have different meetings. So they have a meeting quarterly for parents and different clients to come to and just talk about what they wish that Stanford Sierra Youth and Families could do better and what they're doing good at. And again, they also talk to their employees and get feedback from them as well. So they just are continually improving and just a great example of a successful nonprofit. And another connection I made is with my family, community, and relations class, because a lot of what we do as behavioral analysts is connect families to different community resources and different community activities. It's so important to get the youth and their families involved in the community so that they have connection, they grow connections with people. It is just so beneficial. And that is one connection that I've made, another connection. And the last one I'll talk about is child advocacy. So in that class, it talks just a lot about how parents and just we need to advocate for children. And it's so interesting how through this experience, I just learned how important it is for like behavioral analysts. They have to advocate for the youth that they are working with so much, to caregivers, to parents, because sometimes parents don't know that their child needs help. And sometimes teenagers and children don't speak up for themselves. And so we have to be their advocates. And so that was another great connection that I made. And I would 10 out of 10 recommend this experience, this internship. If you're interested, contact Kimberly Woods Birch. Her information is right here. So just pause this and contact her. It is an amazing organization and an amazing program. Thank you. And this is my mentor, Ariel.